Hey, everybody, we're back with an informative, sometimes boring, Portland real estate market, what's going on type of show. My name's David Caldwell. I'm in a professional real estate office. That's Krista Britton. She is at her house in her laundry room. You can see a washer and dryer and clothes hanging up behind her. We're not going to judge her. It's okay. What we're going to look at today are 3 national news headlines, and if those headlines correspond, what's the headline mean? Because that's what I think what most people see when they're thinking about buying and selling real estate. What's happening here in the Portland metro area? We're going to talk a lot about the metro area. We're going to talk about averages. If you want to know about your particular property, if you want to look at it, if you want to talk about a certain area, let us know in the comments. Let us know via email, hello@hillshirerealtygroup.com. We'll be happy to break that down for you. Number 1, first headline. U.S. home prices hit another high in September, rising for the 8th straight month. Excuse me. What's happening here in Portland?
Well, based on that headline, if you were just to read that, you'd be like, oh, great, home prices everywhere are going up. You dig deeper into the article, right? And it says there's 3 cities in there where the prices have actually declined, and Portland, Oregon being one of them. Now, when we were talking, I said that according to this article, it said that we were down 0.7% since September of 2022. And then you brought up the point that that was an inaccurate percentage.
A lot of the national news, when they look at the Portland metro area, they include Vancouver. And Vancouver has more affordability. And where there's affordability, you're more likely to see an increase in home prices. But if we look year over year, the average home price in Portland through October is down 2.1%. Portland metro area, Washington County, Multnomah County, Clackamas County. And if we look at year to date, it's down 2.6%. But that's only part of the story. Because if you've been watching this show, listening to our analysis of the market, or paying attention, you know that most sellers are also giving 1%, 2%, 3% contributions towards closing costs on the back end of these negotiations, and that does not show up in appreciation. So what we probably truly have, if all things were equal, in Portland is probably around 5% depreciation, maybe 6% depreciation year over year.
Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of people, and the only reason for us to even know that is when a property closes, we can go back and look in the private remarks that are not open to the public. And that's not always put in there, but sometimes the seller's agent will put in, hey, seller contributed $15,000 towards closing costs, or seller contributed X amount towards repairs, right? And that does not show up in the final numbers, just the sales price, which is why those numbers are not reflected accurately.
Yeah, and this is where I think, too, if you're thinking about buying a home or selling a home, where experience comes into play. Because one, experience helps you build a relationship with other agents. And when someone doesn't update the MLS, which most of the time they don't, let's be honest, most of the time there isn't anything in the remarks. They still have their open house in there from 3 months ago.
I'm guilty.
But you can call your friend. Most of the time your friend will give you some insight on that transaction. Was it an easy negotiation? Was it difficult? When you're active in the market, what's it mean to be active? Our group, we're going to sell over 100 homes this year. We sold over 100 homes last year. We sold over 100 homes the year before. That's active in the market. If you're doing 3, 4, 5 deals in the market, I don't know if I would consider that super active. You have a little bit more of a limited perspective into transactions versus when you're doing volume. So, this information is important because if you're a buyer, this is going to help you negotiate. This perspective, this knowledge helps keep that front of mind. If you're a seller, right, these are also things that you really need to know, because most of the time as agents, we want to go in and we want to agree with you on price. Go, oh my gosh, your house is beautiful. I know I can sell it. But we're in a marketplace right now where far fewer homes are selling than normal, which we will get to. We're going to talk about that today as well, where we're at with sales year to date and what's it mean if you're a buyer or seller. But here's the most important thing about this headline. It might be correct nationally, but is not correct locally. Home values have not been up 8 consecutive months in Portland. In fact, year over year, almost every month has been less expensive than the same month the year before. The months where it hasn't, they've only been up a little bit. You cannot have appreciation in that market. That is not a seller's market. It's not maybe quite a crazy buyer's market, but these things are really important to know. And don't let a headline like this give you false confidence if you're a seller and scare you if you're a buyer. Okay, let's talk about a good news one. Conforming loan limits increase to $766,550 in 2024. That is good news. That is true. And that is good news.
Yay!
That is good news if you're looking to buy a more expensive home in Portland and stay out of jumbo territory.
And that's what we were just talking about. If you don't know, for a jumbo, interest rates are actually a little bit higher right now. They're going about 7.7%. Whereas if you can stay at a normal 30-year, right, you're looking at more closer to 7.3%. So that's a pretty big deal for buyers.
Yeah. So if you're someone who has a more expensive home and a buyer who can afford a more expensive payment in today's marketplace, that's just a good thing. It's going to save them a little bit of money. And we know the single largest problem that we have in real estate right now is affordability. We don't need to touch on this too much, but it was a 5.5% increase from the year before. Let me just see here. It was $726,200 in 2023. It'll be $766,550. So, you get to finance a little bit more than an extra $30,000, which is not insignificant. It's not crazy, but it's not insignificant, and keep that payment lower. Okay, next headline. Fannie Mae says Q4 of this year, existing home sales will be the lowest since 2010. Let's just talk about what it means to have low home sales this year first, and then I'll geek out on some numbers. Go for it.
On existing home prices being the lowest since 2010.
Home sales. The
number.
number.
Home sales. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're all feeling it, right? Like, we're seeing a lot of realtors leave the market because they're not selling as much. There's not as many homes to sell. We're seeing the people that are locked in at the lower interest rates less motivated to move. We still have lower inventory. We've got interest rates going up, so buyers, right, are being priced out and also not feeling great about having an 8% interest rate. So a lot of fear, right? We've got a lot of people out there that are not feeling so warm and fuzzy about buying, which is really halted sales this year.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Year to date, there have been about 28,000 listings through October. 27,000 new listings. During the same time period, 18,000 homes closed. Year to date through through October, there have been 18,000 sales. We will not have 4,000 sales between November and December. There will be less than 22,000 sales this year in Portland. And for reference, the last time that happened, the lowest number of sales we've had since 2023 was 23,000. So we are back in the Great Depression era, or the Great Recession era sales volume. Mm-hmm. And people go, oh, the Great Recession, there was foreclosures, there was this. That's why home values went down. That is true. We don't have a big foreclosure crisis right now. But there's something that was similar in the Great Recession that's similar now, which is it's hard for people to get a loan. And people cannot buy homes for the most part without financing. The average person in the market, the majority of people in the market, are financing a home. And with affordability being at an all-time, 40-year low, not all-time low, but all-time low in my lifetime because I'm 40, it's created a really interesting environment. One, it is harder if you're a buyer to bite the bullet on these high payments. We were looking the other day, we were texting about a home in Sherwood that the mortgage payment on that house probably would have been about $6,000 a month, but it was up for rent for $3,500. When there's that big of a gap between rent and owning, and the market is pulling back on pricing, takes away a lot of the incentives of home ownership.
Well, and it's also interesting. There is a lot more opportunity to rent. There's a lot more rentals available. They've been building a lot more rental complexes, things like that. Apartment buildings have been on the rise, which also offer a lot of amenities too. So why would someone want to buy when they could go over here and it could include their gym membership and it could have a pool and things like that for cheaper?
Yeah. So, Q4 for existing home sales, that's true. It is going to be a particularly challenging quarter. Now, if you're a buyer, that should smell like opportunity if you can afford a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking, there's about 41 homes on the market. We're seeing the amount of homes on the market kind of slightly decline. That makes sense. We're in that holiday time period. A couple weeks ago, we were at 4,500. Now we're at 4,100. Well, last month, there were only 1,600 pending sales. We'll call it, maybe I'll round up, 1,700 pending sales. We're not going to have 2,000 pending sales in November. We're not going to have 2,000 pending sales in December. So there's 3 to 4 homes on the market for almost every buyer in the market today. And if you're a home buyer, smell that opportunity, because there might be something out there for you.
With incentives, with the buy down incentives, with closing costs, including new construction. New construction, there's a lot of deals to be had. They are really wanting to offload properties because a lot of times, right, they can't keep building until they've sold a certain amount. So when they start to get low, they start to give deals, free washer and dryers, fridges, closing cost incentives, incentives for interior updates, things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of money to save you out of pocket.
Keep talking about new construction, because I'm going to look and see how many new construction homes are on the market.
Well, and that's what they're saying also when we're looking through these articles. It was talking about that new construction has been a big area for people to buy, right? Because we're not seeing as many resale homes come in the market, and new construction is offering a lot of incentives. And we're starting to play catch up, right? A lot of builders went out of business during the Great Recession. And now, because of the pandemic, with a lot more need, builders were able to get back in there, and now we're seeing a lot more new construction, right? So, and let's be honest, everyone likes something that's new and shiny.
Yeah. Right now on our website, there's about 800 homes that are 2022 year built or newer. There could be a resale home sprinkled in there, right? Mm-hmm. But most of those are going to be new construction. And let's just say that the majority of those homes, are 20% of the inventory in Portland, has a new construction builder attached who has a mortgage company that wants to give you a low rate. Mm-hmm. And they're also willing to give you $20,000, $30,000 in incentives to go there. Now, you could go there with us and we could help you potentially even negotiate a better deal, mm-hmm. or just know that you have an advocate while you're there, because I do think having someone on your side, it is important in a real estate transaction.
Yeah. For new construction, that's a big myth. It's really, really important to be represented, because a lot of times they'll try and convince you don't need a home inspection. This is new. You don't need a sewer scope or radon. And guess what? I just had a new construction where the sewer line failed on new construction and they had to dig out the driveway.
Which, let's talk about a sewer line repair real quick, because most people aren't going to know what that means. Hey, if I have to re-pour concrete on the driveway, or maybe I was able to cut in the street and patch and pull it out. But when you're doing a sewer line repair, a spot repair, like a little easy repair, is $2,000 to $3,000 usually.
I have one that's quoted at $10,000, and that's not going through the driveway. That is going through.
I was going to say the average full line repair I think that we probably see is probably somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000, depending.
A full line repair, I would think it would actually be more right now.
Yeah,
because prices have gone up.
Yeah, and these repairs, they're easy when you're in transaction. Mm-hmm. They're very expensive for you as a homeowner if they're found later, because you didn't want to spend a couple $100s on inspections. It is worth it. Let's just do a quick. Here's our recommendations if you're a buyer in the market right now. Here's our recommendations if you're sellers. Let's start with buyers.
Right. Buyers right now, it's really, really important to know your options. A lot of buyers, right, you're looking at what you can afford monthly based on payment. So besides talking to a realtor, your next stop or first stop shop is a mortgage broker. That's really important. You need to go in and know your options. There's lots of different types of loans. You want to figure out if you need to be paying off that car payment. There's a lot of things that you think you should be doing in order to get your credit higher, which actually could make it worse. So before you do anything, go talk to a mortgage broker. Even if you're not planning on buying for 6 months to a year, plan ahead, because there's lots of things that you could be doing to be improving either your credits or to be saving appropriately.
And mine would basically be similar. I think what I just heard is you need a plan.
Plan.
And for most people, when they're buying a home, it's the most expensive single asset that they buy. And it's kind of interesting. Some people treat it as such, and some people treat it like they're buying a car and they're just out having fun, right? And buying a house should be fun and it should be exciting. And, it always leads to these next phases in life. But, if we were going to invest $500,000 in something, man, we would sit down and be thoughtful about it. And it's interesting to me that people sometimes are very thoughtful about their purchase, and sometimes they're just kind of willy-nilly. But I do think sitting down, having a plan, having a strategy, being thoughtful, to Krista's point, knowing your options. Hey, if I negotiate $15,000, $20,000 on a buy down, how is that going to impact my payment? Like, we know right now, it's pretty easy for us to take someone's payment from $4,000 to $3,200 or $3,300. Like, that is not going to be a challenging negotiation. What if I told you I can bring your payment down 20%? Right? like that's the cheesy way of saying it. But you guys, we can do that. Hey, I'll start with sellers.
Okay.
It is so important to be prepared as a seller today, to look beautiful, to stand out online, right? Days on market still are not your friend, right? High days on market is like having a black eye at the beauty contest. You might still be really pretty, but it's hard to win. Winning means maximizing your return on investment. Are you presenting your property like the 500, 600, 700, 800, 900,000 $1 million asset that it is? Is it being treated with care? Is it being talked about in an appropriate way? Is your flyer printed on nice, professional, high gloss paper? Or is it printed on a crappy Canon printer that I ordered off Amazon on shitty paper? Right? These things are important in today's market. Chris is rolling her eyes at me. I believe those things are important.
They are. If you cut corners everywhere, it's obvious, and it makes the product look less than. And when this is your most expensive asset, you want it to be treated as such. That's a great way to put it. So
we
crappy Canon paper.
We closed a property today that was on the market with 2 other agents for about 8 months. We closed at the same price the previous agent had it listed for, or we had it listed for sale at the same price the previous agent had it listed for. The difference is we got offers from multiple different buyer sets within the first couple of weeks because we were meticulous with presentation. From the photos to the staging to the way you felt when you walked into that property, it was a property that kind of had to stand out. The details made the difference between success for that seller or another several months on the market. So what's your advice, Krista?
I'd say it's the same. And it's also that first weekend you need to be ready because, right? First impressions matter. So a lot of times realtors are like, oh, I'll just throw it up and then I can add this or do this. You want to have a plan. You want to know when it's going to go live. Do you need to have it staged? Do you need to have someone come in and declutter? Does it need to be clean? What kind of video marketing are you going to be doing? There needs to be a plan because that first weekend really matters. And people will look at it once and then go on. And what we're also learning, right, sellers, are that people aren't really reading the comments, right? So we've started getting a little bit smarter with our marketing, and we're putting verbiage on some of the photos when we have special things that we want to make sure people are seeing, because all they're doing is looking through the photos and they might miss, hey, new roof, they might miss the things that aren't super sexy but are really, really important with pricing.
In 2021, you had a race to see the house.
Mm-hmm.
In 2024, 2023, probably in 2024 as well, you're going to be able to wait a couple days.
Yeah.
That's the market we're in. How do you create urgency? right? How do you go, gosh, I make someone looking at a house online go, I have to go see that, right? Because most homes are not selling quickly in today's market. But the best leverage a seller has, or your leverage increases, the lower your days on market. But David, I don't have to sell. Nobody does, or very few people do. That is always and forever will be a weak negotiating standpoint, right? Everyone knows you want to sell when you have a sign up.
And to be honest, my clients that have said, well, I don't have to sell, we're going to wait, really wish they would have taken that initial offer, because at this point, I don't see it trending upward. You want to stay ahead of that downward spiral.
If we have 6.5% plus interest rates, what the market has showed us so far is we will have depreciation. My hypothesis is that depreciation will accelerate in 2024 because there's going to be a surplus of sellers that failed to sell their home in 2023. They'll get serious. They'll move pricing at a quicker pace than they did this year. If interest rates stay above 6.5%, I don't see how we could have market appreciation as an average in the Portland metro area. So
100%. I mean, it comes down to affordability, and if they stay at the interest rates they are, affordability is going to continue to decline.
Yeah. So look, if you've been watching this, hopefully, we just want to give like real objective opinions based on like factual data, right? We look at the numbers, we talk about this, we talk about how does this impact our clients' ability to execute on their goal, right? We know buyers want lower payments, right? Like everybody does. We have a plan for clients that want that. We know that sellers want to maximize value. What up, buddy? We know that sellers want to maximize value. Hi, Dax.
Hi.
We have a plan for that too. Dax, do you have any advice about the housing market?
No.
No?
Listen to your mom.
Your mom. Listen to your mom. It's like me.
Listen to your mom. Hey, sorry I beat you so bad at basketball last night, buddy.
You want to be in the video?
Yeah.
No. Yep.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to get in touch with us, hello@hillshirerealtygroup.com is the best way. And if you like this kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.